girls would always say, I can't understand why you're single, but they'd never date me.
What does that healing look like?
Are you being the right person for yourself?
And what's different between that new version of you versus the older version of you?
The new version is more centered around who I am on the inside rather than what society tells me I need to be.
So as a relationship coach, what's the most common issue people come to you with?
What went wrong here? What went wrong there? What are the common links? The same relationship, but a different face.
I think that's one of the hardest things for people to do is to look at themselves.
You need to fit in this box to be a good boy or a good girl. Then I'll love you.
Because you usually hear, women love a bad boy.
How many weddings have you been to where the bridesmaids are saying, I'm so pleased she's marrying this guy, he's such an arse. She likes the excitement of the bad boy.
Yeah.
But she likes the safety of the nice guy.
What does ideal communication look like? Most of your clients are women. What are the problems? Well, what's women's problems? What is the issue? Why can't we get it right? You have these young men growing up feeling like every move they make is being criticized.
Tell me a feeling you've ever felt that didn't get created in your body. Most people do is put these walls up to protect themselves from pain. But those are the same walls that stop the love from coming in.
Oof.
And they stop your love from going out. Biggest myth about compromise? That is a very good question.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Words of Encouragement podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Made Different. And today I got a special guest in the studio. Well, in his studio, I'm in mine. But before we get into that, I always like to ask you guys to please like this video, share this video, comment on the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Today's conversation is for the people who are successful in life but confused in love. The ones who know how to show up, commit, and try, yet still feel like relationships require more effort than they should. This is about patterns, attraction, emotional safety, and learning how to love without carrying everything on your back. My guest is a relationship coach who helps people understand why they love the way they do and how to build relationships that don't feel like work all the time. He's the founder of The Love Engineer. Please help me welcome my guest, Alan Watts, to the podcast. Thank you, Alan, for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a bit about your background before we dive into the relationship coach. Tell us a little bit about your background.
The background is a very, very different industry, different world, if you like.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm in the middle of England.
Okay.
And my family kindly sold it for us when I was 13. So my future dreams, ambitions, and a lot of my identity went with it. And I'd always found a bit of an interest with machinery and that kind of thing. So went into being a mechanic, which was great for a few years.
Yeah.
But when it came to intimate relationships and dating, I always struggled. I was that nice guy that girls would always say, I can't understand why you're single, but they'd never date me. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys that can relate to that.
Wow.
And so got really frustrated at one point and thought, I need to change a career or I need to change something.
Yeah.
And I was in a bit of a pit, and some of the guys I was working with, we were joking about how much more fun it would be to be fixing boats in Barbados. So went off to the careers office on a day off.
Yeah.
Went and spoke to him and says, have you got anything on fixing boats in Barbados? No, but here's some info on travelling around Australia. So, okay, that's far enough away from all my problems.
Yeah.
I'm off. So I went out there for a year and discovered a lot of the problems I had followed me.
Wow.
That was not fun.
Wow.
And I had this realization that was because I took me, myself, and I with me. So then I started reading a few books and changing a few perspectives and things like that. And came home after that year and kind of with two possible plans. One was to work in the UK for another year and then go back out to Australia. And the other one was to sort of contemplate settling down. So within 12 months, I'd bought a house, and the world of internet dating then was becoming a bit of a thing. And I'd met a couple of ladies online, and there was one that seemed to be really into me. So kind of went for it. And within 18 months of being back from Australia, we were married.
Wow.
Which was not necessarily the best move, but at the same time, it triggered a lot of growth, a lot of healing, and all sorts of stuff. So,
Yeah.
and eventually put me on the path that I'm on now.
Okay. Okay. So are y'all still together?
No, we had twin children in May 2010, and in November I came home to an empty house.
Oh.
So had to rebuild my life all over again. Going out to Australia wasn't an option. So it's like, what do I do? How do I
Yeah.
make sense of all this? And
Oh my God.
kind of set me on a mission to be the best man that I could be, find out how dating relationships really worked,
Yeah.
find out the mistakes that I was making so I could improve on them, and also become the kind of man that my kids needed me to be as a dad.
Got you. Got you. That's kind of traumatic, man. Like you come home to an empty house. That's pretty traumatic, man. I don't know how you bounce back after that.
Step by step, and
Yeah.
a lot of time and a lot of healing.
Wow.
It's
I kind of want to dive into that a little bit. What does that healing look like?
What does that healing look like? Well, lots and lots of self-help books and hiring coaches, because I think it was Les Brown that says, when you're inside the picture, you cannot see the frame. You can't see what's going on behind you in these blind spots.
Yeah.
And when someone holds that mirror up to you and says, what's your part in this? What have you done to contribute to this situation? I did nothing. It was all her. It was all her. Actually, no, there's a lot of mistakes that I was making all the way along.
Wow.
Taking ownership of them and learning new ways of being, shall we say?
Yeah.
And in a sense, creating a new version of myself.
Okay. And what's different between that new version of you versus the older version of you? What would that difference be, you would think?
The new version is more centered around who I am on the inside, rather than what society tells me I need to be, because we get all sorts of outside influences saying, as a man, as a dad or whatever, you need to be this, whether it's parents, whether it's teachers, whether it's social media, whether it's TV, movies.
Yeah.
And very few of them are actually aligned with who you are or who you want to be, unless you make some conscious decisions to sort of take that bit from that guy over there, that bit from that guy over there, that bit from there, that bit from there, that bit from my past self, because that works.
Yeah.
And in effect, kind of put it all into a mixing bowl and create the new version of yourself.
Wow. Okay. That's what I live by, man. That's why I call myself Mr. Made Different, because I was always trying to I was always set apart, but part of me wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
And until I decided that fitting in wasn't an option for me, because I would go places, I would do things, and I'm like, I kind of like this aspect of it, but I don't like this aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I always find myself in that conundrum where it's like, man, what do I do? Like, do I fit in all the way, or do I just take the bits and pieces that I like and just move on? And I just kind of found it was like it's easier to just be myself versus trying to fit in with other groups or other social norms or whatever society tells you need to be as a man. It's like there's so many different variations of what a man is. There are men who like to jump off of cliffs and skydive and different things like that. I'm not one of those type of men. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that. I'm not going to go in the jungle and play with lions. And it seems like it's cool. It's like, but part of me is like, nah, I don't really want to do that. So So there's so
Yeah.
many different variations of who you can be in this world that I think a lot of times people get criticized for not being, you know, people. I guess people want to see people want to see themselves in other people, so they'll criticize you if they don't see
Yeah.
themselves in you, and that criticism, we then internalize that as, well, I'm not being a certain way. I need to be this type of way, or this type of man, or this type of woman. So that's big
Yeah.
that you said that, man.
Yeah. Everyone has their own individual model of the world, and
Yeah,
within that,
yeah,
they have a model of who people should be in
yeah,
alignment with their beliefs. And if they're not, then criticize or whatever, or just stay away saying, I don't like that person.
yeah, yeah. That's true, man. That's big. So I don't want to harp on the past too much, but I'm curious. Are y'all still in communication? Because of the kids, like, what does that look like?
Well, the kids are now living with me full time.
Okay.
I get the odd WhatsApp message with her when she decides she's wanting to see the kids for a weekend or something, but that's about as far as it goes at the moment.
Wow. Wow. That's that's something you don't hear too often, you know. Usually the women takes the kids and leave the father,
It's
you know, to figure
It
out the
took a long
pieces.
time to get to that point,
Yeah.
about 14 years.
Wow. Okay.
And that's without any court cases or anything, because I realised from having other friends go through that mincing machine that
Yeah.
I'm not going to win. Every
Yeah.
solicitor I spoke to says, well, you'll actually get less contact with the kids and probably be worse off if you do go to court. So I was like, okay, I ain't going to bother that.
Wow. Man.
There's-
Yeah, if fathers don't win those type of situations a lot, man. So,
yeah, no,
you know.
leave her enough rope, she'll hang herself kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she did.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So are you currently in a relationship, currently married right now?
Currently living with my partner. We've been together, I think it'll be, what is it, 4 years in April.
Okay. Congratulations, man. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so that's good, man. Because most people will ask, well, why would I take relationship advice for somebody that's not in a relationship? Or you hear that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so, um, okay. So as a relationship coach, what's the most common issue people come to you with?
The most common issue is, well, one of two things. For those that are in a relationship, it's, can you fix my partner? I don't like the way they're showing up, or
Yeah,
he's doing this, she's doing that, whatever it may be. And for the single people, where do I find the right one?
yeah.
How do I know when I've met them?
Wow. Wow.
And 90% of it is being the right one, not finding the right one.
That's pivotal. Being the right one instead of finding the right one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
so many people will look at who's my ideal partner. And that's great, but who do you want to be in that relationship?
Yeah.
If you don't look at that first, it's going to trigger all sorts of issues in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you take yourself to every relationship you go to.
Man, you got to ask yourself, are you being the right partner for those people?
Are you being the right person for yourself?
That's big. Ooh,
It
that's
is. And
big.
it's a lot of conversations that a lot of people don't necessarily want to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's how do they respond when you ask them stuff like that? Because I know that's probably not gonna go well. They're like, I'll discuss that next session.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I will ask uncomfortable questions, because that's the only way that you can get to the bottom of the case or to the root cause of things.
Yeah.
Sort of get them out of their normal patterns.
Okay.
I'm not here to be that supportive friend a lot of the time. That is
Yeah.
part of what I do, but I've
Yeah.
got to get past their issues.
Okay. So when did you realize relationship struggles are more about patterns than people?
Um, through my own journey as much as anything else, because
Okay.
as part of it, when I was going through all my stuff, I was kind of looked back at all my historical relationships and it's like, what went wrong here? What went wrong there? What are the common links?
Yeah.
Me.
Wow.
And you
Wow.
see the same repetitive cycles and the same relationship, but a different face.
Dang, that's
Some
crazy,
horrible
man.
realizations.
It is, man. It is. It is. I think when I met my wife, it took me some time to realize like I was still carrying some stuff. And even to this day, like there's still things about me that I'm learning to understand myself better. And I think people get to this place in a relationship a lot of times where they're they realize that yeah, maybe the person does have issues, but I also have issues that
Yeah.
I'm not willing to face. So it's easier to just blame the other person and then go to, maybe break up with that person, go to another person, divorce, whatever, go to the other person and
And the
it's
problems follow.
the problems keep following. And then whether it's friends that you talk to or whatever, people talking, you're like, you sound like you're having the same problems with different people. Like it's kind of time to look at yourself. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people to do is to look at themselves, to put, that mirror
Yeah.
up, like you said, and kind of deal with the person in the mirror. So
Yeah.
to your expertise, why do you think that is? Why do you think people just don't want to deal with their BS, to put it in a better term?
Ultimately, fear. Fearful of not being good enough, fearful of going inside and finding out they're not lovable or they don't deserve love or something else, or if they've been stuck in this pattern for 5, 10, 20 years and they suddenly realize that it's down to them and they could have changed it earlier on.
Yeah.
That's a very painful realization, although you can't change it till you're ready.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I think fear plays a big part in that, man. Like it's why do you think they're so fearful though?
We grow up with it. We are naturally seeking things that are a threat for our own safety and survival.
Yeah.
It's like you look at the newspaper things. If the headline is "fantastic weather today," I think people would go look at it. Yeah, right, cool, fantastic. Or there's earthquake, 10,000 people dead. They're like, oh my god, I need to find out what's going on.
Yeah, they lock in on that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Plus, when we're children, how many of us have challenging experiences that aren't necessarily met with support and love?
Mm.
You need to fit in this box to be a good boy or a good girl, then I'll love you.
Mm.
A lot of the time, it's not intentionally to be that way.
Yeah.
It's because it's easier for the adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to
You said
break that pattern as a parent is not easy.
it's not easy. It is not easy, man. I do speaking events sometimes, and I spoke at one of my events, and I said this was one of my things because I speak a lot on identity. And I was just like, I have one daughter, first daughter. She's 2 years old now, right? She's she's sweet, sweet girl, empathetic. I could already see the empathy that she has. Um, had another baby. I made this joke that our first daughter was so sweet that my wife and I we decided to have another baby. My second daughter, she's a little bit more rambunctious and just, a go-getter. She's 9 months to this day right now, right? And I'm like, man, she's a handful. I'm like, who would have thought, you know? But and I always find myself telling her to relax, calm down, to chill, like you're doing too much. And I always have to catch myself at moments that I might repeat it to kind of pull back on saying that to her as many times. Even though as young as she is, sh I'm programming her that she's a
Yeah.
lot to handle, and it's difficult to catch yourself when you want to say, hey, you're a little too much, because the first daughter is not like that. So it's like, you don't want to say, hey, be like your sister or be like this person or be,
Yeah.
you don't want to do those things because you're programming her to grow up to be that, if I'm like my sister, I'll be accepted and
Yeah.
it's one of those things that, when she gets older, I'm gonna tell her like, Papa's tired, you know what I'm saying? Like, Papa's tired. You just a little handful right now, and it's not your fault. That's who you are. That's who you were made to be. But Papa's just a little tired, so give Papa a little time to decompress or whatever the case is to be able to handle all that energy that you got. But yeah, I think that's important that
Yeah.
you said that, man.
And on the flip side, you don't want to break a spirit either.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want to break a spirit, but at the same time, you want it to calm down and just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Turn the volume down from 12 to 8 or something.
Yeah, just a little bit, man. Just a little bit, Oh man, that's pivotal, man. I hope the people are getting some gems out of this because that's so pivotal that you're conditioned as a child, whether you know it or not. You're controlled more by your subconscious than your conscious.
Yeah.
Your subconscious knows your deepest fears, the things that you're afraid of, that fine tuning, that programming that you got as a kid. That repetitive sound in your head, like, oh, you're too much, and sometimes you wonder, why am I doing this? And it's so hard for people to dig into
And
the
some of it's got
subconscious.
absolutely nothing to do with you.
Nothing.
Because when I was going through my journey, I had a session with a kinesiologist, and that blew my logical mind altogether because I was looking at the fact that I didn't feel like that I mattered or something like that. And that actually went back 6 generations to a girl, to 1850, to a girl on my dad's side of the family that got pregnant at 14 and had the baby taken off her against her wishes. And from then on, I don't matter is stuck in the family genes.
Wow. And you said you went to kinesiologist? What is that?
Kinesiologist. Kinesiology is the study of energy.
Okay.
So it's kind of blends modern chiropractic skills with some of the Asian and Chinese meridians and all sorts of things. It blends lots of different modalities, but it's very, very powerful.
Okay. You learn something new every day. I didn't know what that was when you said it, but that's pivotal, man. Generations. Wow. Wow. I heard that recently. I think I was watching something and the guy was telling, I think it was a girl, it's been in her, I guess, something that she said or no, something the father said while I think either the mother was pregnant or something that she was dealing with suicidal thoughts, and something her father said, maybe I think when the mother was pregnant, that stuck with her. I'm like, how does she even know that? You know what I'm saying? But it's possibly true because they say if you sing to the mother's belly, the child will pick that up. Listen, you don't always need answers. Sometimes you just need to be held up in prayer. This is a space for people who are doing the best even when it feels unseen. For the ones who are tired, hopeful, uncertain, faithful, and human, all at the same time. We come together simply to pray and encourage one another. No fixing, no spotlight, no pressure to explain your story. Just a quiet reminder that you are seen, heard, and not forgotten by. If life feels heavier than usual, you don't have to walk through it by yourself. You're welcome to join our prayer group. Just comment prayer, send a DM, or use the link provided when you're ready. Peace, very important. So, but that's crazy that you said that. 6 generations, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I thought it was just me.
No. It's all of us, man. We all, they like, people keep saying they're trying to create generational wealth. You hear that a lot nowadays. Oh, I'm trying to create generational wealth. But there's generational curses that's in our families, that it just goes on, and it's up to somebody in that generation to try to break that curse and try to go back and have enough strength, enough boldness, enough, fearless to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna deal with this so that my kids don't have to deal with it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's big, because as a kid I was always told to be quiet. Grown ups are talking. Don't
Yeah.
involve yourself in grown up conversations. So for a period of time, probably a decade or so, I just went kind of silent. I didn't have a voice. I didn't have, even if I spoke, I was kind of like shy, timid, and I'm still working through breaking that. That's why I started this podcast. I'm like, I'm gonna speak my mind. You know what I mean? I'm gonna speak up. I'm gonna speak how I feel. Because when I did, the adults they didn't really want to hear what I had to say, even though I was probably speaking something that could have helped them. They didn't want to hear my perspective. But now I'm like, no, I'm gonna speak up. I'm gonna open my mouth and say what I gotta say. So,
I used to get that as well. Little children should be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
The empty can rattles the most, and all sorts of things like that. And so you just go,
Yeah, man. And kids offer such a wonderful perspective if you have the time, if you have the patience to listen to them. They often have such a different perspective. Not saying that it's like a wiseness to kids sometimes, because they don't have all the blinders or fears that we usually have as adults. They just have like yeah, why don't you just do that? Or why don't you just, you know what I mean?
Natural curiosity.
Yeah, natural thing about them. And it's just like, man, like, but yeah, that's pivotal, man. Wow. So do you work just on boyfriend and girlfriend relationships, or is it like a father-daughter relationship, like, father-son, mother? Do you work on all types of relationship, or people that are just looking for love?
It is predominantly the husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, those kind of things.
Gotcha.
Obviously, when children are involved, that does have a bearing on the state of the relationship, especially when they put the children first.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes a dividing wedge between both the parents.
Yeah.
Whereas if that relationship is put first, it creates a solid foundation and a strong model for the children in the future.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't want that conversation though.
No, they don't. They don't, man. And I think too, it's understanding, man, like stages and phases in life. Every season is gonna look different,
Yeah.
I think people go into a relationship like it's gonna be this way. And if it deviates from that way, then something must be wrong. Something, it's like, not really. When we had our second daughter, things kind of changed around here. We had to kind of sleep in separate rooms. My wife's sleeping with one, I'm sleeping with the other one, and we had to kind of just separate them because it just created a dynamic where it was neither one of us was getting sleep in the night. The kids both, they waking each other up. Then it's like a whole thing. It's like that lasted for about 3 months where we slept in different rooms till they kind of, they sleep a lot better now with all of us in the room. And most people are like, wow, y'all sleeping in the kids supposed to have their own room. But it's like, man, that's just how it is right now. I know that it's not going to be that way forever, and I'm fine with just being in that season, because it's like, I know they're going to grow up and they're going to be in their own room or individual rooms or whatever the case is, but that's just how it is right now. And I
It's the
think
way it
see,
used to be historically as well,
yeah,
until the industrial stage when houses started getting bigger and people had
yeah,
more money and they could put the kids in separate rooms and hire a
yeah,
nanny or something like that.
yeah, yeah, man. So it's just understanding what phase of life you're in, and embracing that. Don't get mad. Most people will be like, "Why y'all sleeping in separate rooms?" And like, that's just where we at right now for this few months. It's gonna change back, and you have to make the effort because a lot of people say you have to make the effort for things to change, and I think
Yeah.
that's important too. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. A lot of the time, a relationship's like a three-legged race. You've got that leg that's tied together, and
Yeah.
you've both got your individual legs. If you're not working on yourself and not got your own hobbies and things that you do on your own, you're not putting that leg on the floor. And
Yeah.
then your partner a lot of the time feels like they're carrying the whole relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if
That's
both partners are doing the same thing,
it's disaster. That's disaster waiting to happen, man.
yeah,
Man. Okay. How do attraction patterns get formed and why are they so hard to break?
it's all nervous systems and the patterns within the brain.
Mm.
Because the way the mind works, and something happens, and it's like, I need to make sense of this. I need to understand it. Oh, that thing over there is kind of similar, so I'll join that together, even if they're not related in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And if that happens several times, it's like, oh, that kind of person must be my type.
Mm.
No, it's just a pattern that you've been experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you usually hear, women love a bad boy and all this other stuff. And, like you said,
Yeah, I hear that a lot. But how many weddings have you been to where the bridesmaids are saying, I'm so pleased she's marrying this guy, he's such an arse. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like they want a guy that is the bad boy, that can be a leader, that can be that supportive friend, the nice guy, but they want it all in the same man.
Yeah.
And they want him to know which version of himself he needs to be at any given time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And then
that's
they wonder
something
why we get confused.
that's something I always say, man. When people be like, man, I don't, she said she wanted this. I'm like, man, she wants all of that. Like she wants a God-fearing man. She wants somebody that knows a little, something about the hood, something about the streets, bad boy, or no one's to be nice. Like she wants all of that at different times.
Yeah.
And it's confuses a lot of men because it's like you can't show up being a bad boy 100% of the time because when she needs that soft version of you and you don't give it to her, she's gonna be like, well, Harry over here talk so sweet to me. I need, and it just creates a dynamic for confusion, for her
Yeah.
and the man.
Yeah, because we have us blokes, we kind of trying to compartmentalize everything. So
Yeah.
it's almost like we're coming from a place of, I'm either a nice guy or I'm a bad boy.
Yeah.
Why can't you do both?
Yeah,
different times.
exactly. At different times. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Because she likes the excitement of the bad boy,
yeah.
but she likes the safety of the nice guy.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what you said earlier when you said, I'm going to take piece of this, I'm going to take piece of that, I'm going to bring part of my old self in here and take piece of this over here. So yeah, that's kind of how you have to, well, for me, that's kind of how I look at it. That's kind of how I live. There are times where I'm funny, joking. There are times where I'm serious. There are times where, it's about God in this moment. There are times where, yeah, I could be a little bad boy for a second, but, I'm kind of a little bit all of those. I know when to turn it on, turn it off. Go get that guy for this guy, So yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah, there's nothing to say you can't be the nice guy when you go to church on Sunday and the bad boy in the bedroom.
Yeah, yeah,
Because let's face it, we all know how many copies of 50 Shades got sold.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly, man.
They want a beast that they contain.
Yeah, 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 man. Oh man, that's good. Yeah, I hope people are understanding what you're saying too, because it's needed for people to understand. Like, you're not just one thing. Like, you're not just a street guy. You're not just one thing. You're so like this guy. I think it's Jason Wilson, I believe is his name. He wrote a book, The Comprehensive Man, and he's just pretty much labeling all the different variations of a man. And I think once, when you're growing up and when people are telling you you're this, you internalize that and just pick that one lane, but there's so many different variations of yourself in that. We're made in the image of God. God is infinite. He is everything. You know what I'm saying? So you have to put yourself in like, yeah, I could go fix my car like you. I went to mechanical school to fix cars. I could go fix my car. I could paint the house. I could fix something in the house. And I could come and jump on here on this podcast and talk to you for an hour and have a great conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, all
But if you
these,
spend so much time fixing stuff,
yeah,
you don't want to come home and then try and fix your wife. That's not going to go down very well.
yeah, exactly. Exactly, man, exactly. Yeah, so I think we humans are so comprehensive, but people tend to use, 1% of their brain, or 5% of their brain, when we could use so much more to be able to be so much better. So that's
Yeah.
good, man. That's good. So who are your clients mostly? Is it men or women? Like,
It's mostly women at the moment.
okay.
The only reason I can think of for that is us blokes can be a little bit stubborn. And firstly, we don't like to ask for help.
Yeah.
And we think that, oh, there's challenges going on right now and they'll be okay. We'll get through it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you imagine doing a skydive and then 1 meter from the ground, you think, oh, maybe I'll pull this cord now.
Oof,
It's a
too
bit late.
Yeah, it's too late. I love that analogy.
There's so many blokes that get shocked when the wife files for divorce
Yeah.
and then says, I'll do anything to make it work. She's been trying to get him to say that for 10 years,
Yeah.
but he's
Wow.
not been understanding what she's saying. And she's not communicating in a way that he understands. Because we both have different programming.
Yeah.
Yes, we're both
Wow.
human beings, but then an iPhone and an Android phone are both smartphones.
Yeah.
But you try switching from one to the other.
I did that a few years ago. It took me a little time to get used to
Yeah.
the iPhone. So yeah, man, that's awesome. How pivotal is communication, in a relationship?
It's one of the main keys of an effective relationship. Because if you can't communicate, what can you do?
Mm.
Eventually, you're going to fall out.
Yeah. And what does ideal communication look like?
What works between the two people? Because ultimately, if you've got somebody that's English like me and somebody that's Chinese like my kid's mother, communication becomes very, very challenging.
Yeah.
And that's just trying to speak without all the complexities of intimate relationships.
Yeah. Man, you're funny, man.
So we'd go and have lunch with my mother on a Sunday, and Mum and her would have a conversation for about an hour or something.
Yeah.
Then in the car on the way home, she'd look at me and say, "What did your mum say?" It's like, at which point? You were listening. I wasn't even in the conversation.
Yeah. Man. Wow. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. Because my wife and I had to learn her communication style. She had to learn mine. I think a lot of times people are so surface level that they never really know who the person really is or understand who the person is, right?
Yeah.
They don't, like you said, they don't even know who they are. So You don't even know who you are. You're not even gonna understand the depths of who the person that you're dating. You know what that person is all about. So yeah, I had to learn her communication style. You know, I was trying to figure out like why is she didn't really want to have hard conversations in the beginning. You know, it was more um she would let things slide. I would say like get silent or she'll be like, well, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, well, if it bothers you, whether it's a big deal or a small deal, you at least need to let me know. Because over time, that little deal or that thing that's you feel like, oh, it's not a
And
big deal that you
snowball
do that.
effect.
It's gonna snowball. If I'm talking through a show, and you're trying to listen to the show, and I'm not. I'm talking throughout the whole show. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I can't believe. And then you're like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. But over time, and our 10th year, our 20th year, it's going to irritate you. And then you're going to blow over. And then I'll be like, you never said anything. Like, you know what I mean? But if I know that early on, I could at least try to scale back. I might still talk, but I can at least try to scale it back because I could talk throughout the show. So, but it's just something that small. And like I told her, I was like, yeah, just let me know. If it bothers you, whether it's big or small, let me know. And she was more on the, if it's big, I'll tell you then. If it's something big, if it's a big deal. But it's those small things that, usually causes an avalanche. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
The little things become big things over time.
Yeah. Yeah. So what most of your clients are women. What are the problems? What's women's problems? What is the issue? Why can't we get it right?
How do I put it without in a way that isn't going to upset a lot of people?
It's
So if
okay. They could be upset. It's okay.
If
this
you
is
imagine
about healing, so
imagine driving along and you get that light on the dashboard,
yeah,
whether it's a check engine light or anything else, but that light's there. It's just a thing that says, oh, by the way, you might want to, something's not quite right, you might want to check something out. Us blokes, she'll be all right, mate. Keep going. Wheels are still turning. It's not, no smoke coming out front under the bonnet or the hood.
yeah.
Keep going. That little check engine light is a feeling. We ignore them because that's the way what we are wired to do.
Yeah.
Whereas they tend to be wired to be controlled by these check engine lights and little warning lights. They are more important than everything. Even if it's just road code.
Yeah.
Even if it's a tiny little thing. The lights are going on. It's like a Christmas tree inside. Until you actually dig down into it. And you find, somebody just left a knife in the butter. But the translation of that inside was somebody left in a knife in the butter. That means I'm not respected or I'm not appreciated.
Yeah. 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 That sounds about right.
Whereas sometimes we need to listen to them when they say, oh, there's this light on the dashboard. Yeah, well, let's go and have a look at that. Yeah, I might want to put some oil in it.
Because I a lot of times when I hear, like I'm in different Bible studies and we call it life groups, but we read different books, whether it's about the Bible or just a book that's centered around Bibles stuff, and I hear they describe a man and I hear they describe a woman. I'm like, man, that sound like me. Like, do I have female tendencies about myself? Like, because
there is a reason for that.
Yeah.
If you consider a magnet has a north and a south pole.
Okay.
If someone gives that say, I'll give you that magnet and say, is it north or south?
Yeah.
You're going to turn around and say, well, don't be so blooming stupid. It's both. And we have both masculine and feminine energies within us.
Yeah.
Yes, one might be more prominent or more dominant. And the interesting thing is, there's that saying opposites attract.
Yeah.
Those opposing energies attract. the masculine attracts the feminine and the feminine attracts the masculine. But if we show up in the wrong energy all of the time, we're going to be attracting somebody that's not a match.
Yeah.
Just to add more confusion to this area of life, we also like people like ourselves.
That is true.
we like people with like values,
Yeah.
similar interests. If we can have those like values and interests with somebody of the opposite energy, the relationship gets a lot more easier. It's passion. The passion is there. The connection is there. The attraction is there. And because you've got like values, you've got things in common that you can start to work with on a step-by-step to make it stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. That is true, man. Because I show up, I'm very empathetic. I think that's where my first daughter gets it from. I'm very empathetic. So I could feel people's energy without them saying something to me. I could feel when that energy changes. And for my wife, she's, she grew up in Los Angeles, the heart of the city. I grew up on the island of St. Lucia, two different ends of the world. But when she met me, like the way I carry myself, I don't carry myself like a very empathetic person, I would say. Most people would be like, you walk like so confident in yourself, and I don't know, maybe that's what I exude. But sometimes I'm in there like, oh man, I hope I'm doing this right. I hope I'm doing that right. Your brain is like running 100 miles a minute, trying to make sure you're showing up a certain way in the world. And, under all of that, it's like my body is just calm. People's always be like, when I'm on stage, people like, you just got a zen about you. And I'm just like, if you know how I feel right now, you wouldn't even say that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know where that comes from, but I'm just, it's just part of who I am. Like I said, I can fix a car, paint a house, and have a conversation all in the same day. These are all three different types of people showing up in the same day. The guy that's fixing the car, it's a different part of my brain than the guy that's painting the house. You might be like, well, it's both kind of labor intensive. Painting the house is like meditation. Like fixing the car is different. Building woodworking or whatever, it's a lot of math. It's a lot of, it's just different parts of the brain that I'm using. And having a conversation with you or my kids or whatever, that's very deep conversation. It's a different part of my brain. Like, so I'm constantly just, changing form throughout the day. So when I show up in my relationship, I could go from real soft to real stern, or sometimes people like submissive. I could be submissive. She could be submissive. Like it just flows that way, easy. That's just how I show up in the world. It's not, I feel sorry for the people that show up only one way, because it's like you just show up that way all the time. Like you don't ever like, this is how you show up to for yourself. This is how you show up for other people. This is how you show up for, to God. Like you show up the same way all the time. And it's like, I just don't feel like that's I won't say I don't feel like it's the right way to live. I just think like you're not maximizing your potential. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, it's almost like rowing a boat down the river of life. You got the aura of masculinity on one side and the aura of femininity on the other.
Yeah.
Only when you use both do you go in a straight line.
Yeah.
But if you only ever use the one, you just go around in circles.
Man,
and I've never seen a straight river yet. So sometimes you need more masculine energy, other times you need more feminine.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I find it so funny, a lot of these women now, they say, well, if he does this, it's a turnoff, or that's gay, or that's whatever. And it's like, But I do that. Like, they make everything gay now. It's like, man, you eat a banana and you don't break it off. It's like, oh, that's gay. It's like, are we serious at this point? It's like people, like society is just, let's not even go there. But I think society is just crazy right now. But
Oh, yes.
that's typically what happens. And now you have these young men growing up feeling like every move they make is being criticized.
Because it
That,
is.
or the young women too, every move they make is criticized by young men. And it's like, that's not how we supposed to show up in the world.
No.
You're supposed to learn from the other person. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to learn about yourself from the other person. You know what I mean? And whether that person, and it's not even necessarily what they say that you're supposed to learn, is how you feel when certain things happen. Like somebody does something to you or do something around you, and then that tells you like, oh, how did I internalize that?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what they say all the time. It's just sometimes what they do, or like you said, if you leave your shoes by the door or whatever the case is, and you take that as an insult, it's not really an insult towards you. It's just that person might just not be thinking about that, but you like internalize it as disrespect or whatever the case is. It's like, that says more about you, not
You
necessarily
made
the
me
person.
feel.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing. Another thing people don't want to talk about. Tell me a feeling you've ever felt that didn't get created in your body.
Oof.
We do it to ourselves.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. We cause a lot of our own stress a lot of times. Our
We do.
own anxiety. Man. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay. So when you point that mirror up to these women, how do they internalize that moment, or and what is the success rate, I guess you would say, with them, doing better or being better? Because you said you work with high level, women that have
Yeah.
these great jobs and stuff like that. How does that work?
Well, ultimately, it depends on one thing, whether they are prepared and willing to go within.
Mm.
Because if they're not, then the success rates are pretty low. When they do, it's completely transformational. Sometimes they just need one little thing. So as a lady I worked with a few years ago, one of the things she had that kept coming up was a lot of body shame. She didn't like her body.
Mm.
And to be fair, it was a struggle. I thought, I've got to do something different here. So I said, can I ask you a question that you're not going to like? She said, well, if you want. I said, okay, so how can you hate that body so much when that body created those daughters that you love so much?
Ooh, wow.
That's a horrible question. Well, she said, because of this, because when I was abused as a child, there was part of my body that enjoyed it. I said, well, your body's just sending signals up to your brain that says this feels nice. It has no idea whether it's a person that should be touching you in that way or not.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of that.
We go through as kids is like, it sets the foundation for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
If you don't go back and reset and then hit that reset button and unlearn all those things, you kind of just live in this, whether it's a fearful child or insecure child or whatever it is that you went through as a child, like, or whether it's showing up in the world aggressive because you don't want to be taken advantage of, because you were taken advantage of as a kid. It's man, it just is the foundation of who we are until you reset that and be like, well, this is who I want to be. I'm not that scared little child no more. I'm not that fearful little child. I'm not the quiet little child no more that people told to shut up. Nah, it's not that child is gone. You know what I'm saying? And it's that's so important I think for everybody. because we don't realize how much of that, that's our subconscious is that little child. Like,
Yeah.
man, that's pivotal, man. That's pivotal. I love this conversation. This is my type of conversation right here, man. Not because it's about relationship or anything. It's just because, I don't like surface. I don't like small talk. I'm not the
Me
small
neither.
type of person. I like to have deep conversation that we could actually figure out, how to solve some problems, how to, save the world in a sense. Like, that's the type of conversation I like to have. So this is pivotal right here. For those watching, I hope y'all gaining something from this. Yeah, because this is pivotal, man. Wow. She didn't even realize her body was internalized. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So is she doing better now since then, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's good. Praise God, man. Let's talk about boundaries in relationship. What does a lack of boundaries look like versus healthy boundaries in a relationship look like?
That's a great question. And there are two kinds of boundaries. We have the boundary where we say to somebody else, like, this is where my line is. You don't cross that.
Yeah.
Okay. But what do we do when that person gets close to that boundary? If we're saying, putting all the responsibility onto them, a great example is between a parent and child in a lift or an elevator. And the child's trying to press all the buttons because it's fun. Imagine the Empire State Building and having to stop at every floor because the kid pressed every single button. Say, no, stop doing this, please. And they keep doing it. You can say, stop doing that all you like. If it's fun, they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But when you put a proper boundary in there and take responsibility for it and stand in front of those buttons so that the child can't press them, that is an effective boundary because you're actually taking responsibility for your own boundaries instead of putting everything onto them. When you put everything onto somebody else, you're giving all your power away.
Wow. So how does one protect their boundaries, or how does, instead of when you put this, people say I put a wall up, like, and it feel like people still getting past the wall. Like, it's like, man, come on, like you're not doing anything to effectively protect your boundary.
Yeah. Well, what most people do is put these walls up to protect themselves from pain, but those are the same walls that stop the love from coming in.
Oof.
And they stop your love from going out.
Oof. Man.
So if you must have those walls there, at least put a window there so you can see out. See, actually, life isn't that bad all the time.
Yeah. Wow. Look, boy, preaching today. Yeah, so how do I protect my boundary? Okay, I got this boundary. I don't like people, leave shoes in the middle of the house. How do I protect that? Or whatever the case is. Like,
a lot of it comes down to communication. And you say, well, look, here is the shoe rack. This is where these go. And the consequences of not doing so are this. And then you've got to stand up and actually follow through those consequences.
Yeah, because I think of, if you say, well, one of my boundaries is I don't like people calling me late at night, but you leave your phone, the ring on, the light.
That's on you, mate.
The ring is loud, and it's like, man, I told y'all don't call me. You could put your phone on do not disturb. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you gotta protect your own boundaries a lot of times, because boundaries are meant to be broken. Like, rules are meant to be broken. That's what they're there for. Like, if they weren't meant to be broken, there wouldn't be no rules. You know what I mean? So, I think like you said, you have to protect your own rules, your own boundaries, because they're gonna take advantage of it, especially if they can. And a lot of times, like I said, I don't think people think about. I want to frame this the right way. People are not necessarily thinking about what you're thinking about.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, so you might have this thing about, oh, I don't want people to call me at a certain time, or leaving your shoes, or leaving a knife in the butter, whatever the case is. And a lot of times people are not thinking about that. You know, they just going on
Mm.
with their life like it's about nobody's
And
business, and interrupting yours, and you spaz on them or you go crazy on them, and you like start cussing them out or whatever the case is. It's like, where's this coming from? You
and then
know
the
what I
other
mean?
thing you can do with things like the shoes left all over the house, you can actually go into yourself and say, why is this such a big problem? It's only a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
What am I triggering within myself when it happens?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid and I did that, I got my ass kicked. I don't want my kids to experience that.
Yeah. 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 Man, that's yeah, because people could, and that could be internalized two ways, right? You could be like, well, that happened to me as a kid. Nah, I could leave my shoes wherever I want. I got my ass whooped when I was a kid, leaving my shoes in the middle of the floor. Now I'm grown. Nobody's gonna do it. Now I could do it to other people,
Yeah,
or
it's
you had
my
the
house,
person
my rules.
exactly, or you had the person that's like internalizing, like, oh, I'm gonna put my shoes in place, like, and they have this OCD thing about them,
Yeah.
like, so it could go either way, and then you have to figure out, okay, which spectrum am I on? Like, so yeah, man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, man. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yes, when I see our kids' shoes all over the place, and it's like, they've done it again. They've done it
Yeah.
again. So, okay, where am I not putting my stuff back?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we need to practice what we preach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because kids will notice that stuff,
Yeah. They will.
and they call you on it.
Yeah. They will.
Do as I say, not as I do, never works.
Never works, man. Never works. That's like one of the worst principles people came up with. Like, it just never works. I see my daughter now. Like, I'll stand a certain way, she stands a certain way. You know, I was getting ready for this podcast. I put my chain on. I see her doing. She ain't had no chain, but she's doing she's doing the same mannerisms, and it's like she's just picking up on my movement. She's seeing what I'm doing and doing the same things.
Yeah.
I could tell her, you don't have no chain. What are you doing? She won't internalize it like that. She's like, I'm doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Mirroring and matching.
Yeah. So
Trying to connect with my dad.
exactly, man. That's important. That's important. You got to be the example that you want to see in the world. You know, that's kind of one thing I try my best to set out. It's not just speaking, but actually being the example I want to see in the world. You know, there's a lot of things I had to change about myself. Once I realized my wife was pregnant, I was like, man, I gotta change. I gotta stop smoking. I gotta stop going, drinking and partying the way I used to, and all the stuff. I was like, I don't want them to think that's normal because they see me doing it. So I have to cut it off. I can't tell. I could tell them, don't do it till I'm blue in the face. That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's certain, and it's crazy because certain things I see my grandmother do, I was doing. I didn't even internalize it until I was trying to stop doing what I was doing. I was like, man, I grew up seeing this. Like, I grew up seeing her, take a little sip of drink throughout the day, and I'm like over here kind of doing the same thing. And I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to keep carry that to the next generation, So they don't see me do it. They can't say, "Oh, I see." They might pick it up from somebody else, but it's my job to try to protect their eyelids
Yeah.
and create that boundary for them till they get old enough to have their own boundaries. So yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Good stuff. What is the biggest myth about compromise in modern relationships today?
Biggest myth about compromise? That is a very good question. And I think there's a lot of people that think, oh, compromising is, okay, I'll give you what you want. Or if we're compromising, you'll give me what I want.
Yeah.
Rather than actually, how can we work together to create something that works for both of us? It might be on opposite sides of the river at the time, but if we stand on solid foundation and build the bridge together, then we find a stronger connection
Yeah.
and a way forward. Whereas if we're too wrapped up in ourselves, we only see our way. And we've got that one leg up in the air when doing the 3-legged race.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big myth, man. It's like, oh, if I'm compromising, I'm losing everything, or the other person's gaining the other person's getting what they want. I'm not getting what I want, and that's not really compromise. You know,
No.
I forgot the word for it, but that's not compromise. That's just you, I guess, submitting to the other person in a sense. But it's like, there are times when the thing I want to do and the thing my wife want to do is on two different sides. So we're like trying to figure out, okay, where can we meet in the middle of all of that?
Yeah.
I
If
get
we're
maybe
doing
go ahead.
if we're doing your thing tonight, that's cool.
Yeah.
And we can do my thing tomorrow or next week.
Yeah. 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 And that's all it is, man. It's like, I think anybody's going to get frustrated if something is always going the other person's way and never their way, or vice versa. Like, that's just normal. it's gonna come to a point where it's like, nah, this is not. I want to leave.
Yeah.
So
And that's a result of not keeping those boundaries.
yeah. Good stuff, man. Well, we're gonna jump into the lightning round, and this could go on for hours, man. But I want to respect your time, and yeah. So we're gonna jump into the lightning round, fast hitting questions. Love becomes heavy when
You feel like you're doing all the work on your own. You're the only person in the relationship.
okay, attraction doesn't equal
Love.
oof, big oof. That's good. That's good. A healthy relationship requires
Lots of things. And compatibility, communication, attraction.
okay. Most people stay stuck because
They don't go inside themselves. They blame the partner.
growth in love starts with
Going within. Self-awareness.
yeah, I like that one. Real partnership feels like
It feels like it's home. It's peace.
yeah. Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. What's a book that changed your life or your perspective?
There's been so many. One of them is the one I wrote myself because I didn't believe that I could do it. And if I did it, nobody would ever want to read it. And then kind of give the draft copy out to a couple of people, and they're like, I couldn't put it down. I was like, what? You actually wanted to read that? All these stories inside my head, going back to my primary school teacher that says Alan's writing is no good kind of thing, because to write an essay on something I wasn't interested in.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was something to do with sports. Like, okay, how do I get out of this quickly and easily? Went to watch the cricket, rain stopped play, came home. That was it.
Man, you see how damaging that self-talk could be sometimes. You could have prevented, having a book that people need, because you're like, man, nobody wants to hear what I have to say,
Yeah.
And that it took me some time to get past that, I know people see me doing this podcast or speaking on stage or whatever. It's like I literally had to ignore the version of myself that was downplaying my story or was telling me that it's not good enough. Nobody wants to hear that, I gotta figure out what's the most important parts of it and how I can relate to other people, and how I could help them overcome what they're going through. Because, man, I think everybody has that little voice in their head. They just have to kind of ignore that person, ignore that voice, and keep pushing.
And I think a lot of that goes down to how your parents spoke to you when you were a child.
Yeah.
If they were supportive and believed in you and spoke to you positively, then you've got a very supportive little voice inside your head.
Yeah.
Whereas if there's constant criticism and you should have done this, you should have done that, should have done the other, that becomes your inner voice as well.
That's good. That's good. I did an episode with a guy recently, and he told me that he said that for a lot of kids, their father is how they see God. Like, if your father is a certain way, you tend to see God that certain way. And that had me shook, because I'm like, man, I never even, now that I have kids, I understand that dynamic a little more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true in a sense, because if you as a father, if your father's missing, you tend not to maybe believe in God as much. You're like, if my father left, I don't believe in no God. Like, and if you have a father and he's maybe not talking about God as much, and he's very stern, and when you do come into God, you feel God is the same way. It's like I fear God. And when people say fear God, it's more of a reverence for God, more of a respect, than to be like an actual fear. Like, God is like, I smite thee for you because you didn't do X, Y, Z. Like, it's not that, you're such a loving God, so graceful that, man, I could go on and on.
But if you don't behave, I'm going to throw you into hell.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's man. But yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that conversation. One more lightning round question. A lie about yourself you had to unlearn.
There's plenty of those. Which is the biggest one? We'll go with I'm not lovable.
Oof. Wow. Man. I think so many of us feel that way, man. So many of us feel that way. I remember my wife told me something when we probably about a year into us dating. We was having an argument, tears flowing on both sides, and she said to me, she's like, I love the parts of you that you don't love about yourself. And that done hit my soul. That hit my soul. And she told me that, I was just like, what do you mean you love the parts of me I don't even love about myself? Like, how could you love that? Like, and it took me a while to kind of just accept that. Even though she said it, it took me some time to accept the fact that she said that. And I think so many of us struggle with even loving ourselves, so we feel like we're incapable of love, Yeah, our parents probably loved us because they probably had to. It's like, you know what I mean? But who else is gonna love us? Like, Because we know everything about us. We know everything. Even the things that we suppress somewhere inside of us, we know it. We just don't, we choose to not deal with it, but we still know, so man, that's
The
just such an
trouble is,
awesome.
then the conscious mind has only a little bit of information and
Yeah.
tries to make up some kind of logical argument for a feeling that's based on something that happened years ago that you know nothing about.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, this is an awesome conversation, man. I'm mad you come back on for another episode, Alan. This was good. This was good, man.
Happy to have you on my podcast as well.
Yeah, just let me know, man. I'll be on. Let me know. We could schedule it. My final question or statement for a person who's listening, or maybe even the younger version of yourself, what words of encouragement would you give that person who's tired of carrying a relationship and wondering why love hasn't worked yet for them?
Because I think these days we've put too much emphasis on love, the emotional aspect, the romantic movies and all that kind of stuff, where a lot of the actual loving relationship comes down to the daily actions that we do consistently and persistently.
Yeah.
We don't look at those. It's almost like we're seeking this elusive feeling that's just like I've died and gone to heaven and landed on a load of cushions or something, and it's amazing and nothing can hurt me. And what do you mean you're not going out with me tonight?
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, the movies, man. Television programming is real, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you got
programming.
on one hand you've got all the romantic stuff, and then on the other hand you got all the porn and erotic stuff, where reality is going to be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, yeah. The mundane, the stuff that's just
Yeah.
It's just boring. Like it's like 90% of the time it's just boring. Y'all just in the house,
Yelling from one room to the other. What do you want for dinner tonight?
Yeah, trying to figure it out. It's. I mean, even my wife said this is recent, like today, a couple hours. She's like, "Man, I just want to be able to just have the food. I'm tired of trying to figure out what to eat." And I'm like, me too. We're trying to figure out what to make, and we see all these things on social media, people making dishes. Like, I don't even want to do all of that. Can y'all just make it for me and I'll pick it up? You know what I mean? So that's the part of relationships people just like, we don't really show that on social media. We see highlights of things and think that's what it's supposed to be all the time, because we're giving that to ourselves all the time by scrolling on the phone all the time. Like, and that's not reality.
Only put the good bits on there.
Yeah. So give the phone a break, give Instagram, TikTok a break, man. Get back to reality. Lift your head up, look around you,
and
instead
be
of
in the room with your partner.
Be in the room with your partner, man. Man, Alan, awesome episode, my brother. Thank you so much. Please tell the people where to find you.
Easiest place is my website, which is theloveengineer.rocks, and I'm also on LinkedIn, social media, Spotify. My podcast is Relationship Revolutions, because let's face it, that area of life needs a blooming revolution.
Yeah. Oh man, awesome stuff, man. I usually end in a prayer. I don't know if you want to pray or I could pray us out.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, today we come to you just to thank you, Lord, for the people that you've placed in our lives when you did, Lord. We come here to just ask you strengthen relationships, strengthen marriages across the world, Lord. This brother's in the UK right now, and we just ask for grace for his family, for his loved ones, for his friends, Lord. Give him the strength that he needs to be able to do the work that he's doing in this world, the lives that he's changing in this world, Father God. So this I ask in the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Alan, it's been a remarkable episode, man. And to the people watching, just remember, communication is one of the most key things in a relationship. And just keep an open line of communication. Don't be scared to talk to the person that you love, man. So, with that said, peace. Has been another episode of the Words of Encouragement podcast. Stay tuned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Words of Encouragement podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and YouTube.